You are listening to Breathe Life Book Studies. Thank you for listening. We are in our book that we are studying this go around is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. The Four Agreements is a practical guide to personal freedom, and it is a Toltec wisdom book. I came across this book through other teachers who was reading this book or who have read the book and recommended to read the book, right? And so that's what I did. Read it, bought it, read it. And it's like, oh yeah. It's one of those books where at the time just seemed like, okay, everything is starting to pull together. But I left it there. And then I picked it up again because, again, I saw someone else teaching and talking about this book. And so I picked it up and read it again. And it still wasn't really quite resonating because I was just reading the book, right? Although it had the four agreements, it didn't have a step program type of thing. It didn't have, you do these 10 steps, you'll have prosperity in your life. You know, you do these 10 things, you have more abundance in your life, you know. So, put the book back down. And so at this point, I've read the book 2 or 3 times, right? And then I picked the book back up without anybody coaching me about it. And I picked the book back up and I started to really read, comprehend. I was comprehending before. I was understanding before. But I processed it. I had to process the book. And in order for me to get to that point, it wasn't like it's an assignment that someone, you know, Ralph Smart told me to read this book. Jake Ducey told me to read this book. He's referencing this book. I don't even think they have, but I'm just saying, these are some of the people I do follow. I don't remember them saying it. You know. I saw this man on Gaia TV, you know, and I was like, here's this book again. No, it was never prompted when I fully open up my heart, mind, and soul to process the teaching that Don Miguel Ruiz had put in this book. This book has opened up my eyes to realize that I have been controlled. I keep going up and down because when I feel like I've gotten through this part, here's another part. And I've been controlled. Even down to in my religion background. I grew up as a missionary, Baptist missionary church. Great foundation would never take anything from my foundation. And I recognized that throughout this book, I had been controlled by the different systems. Whether it was religion, government, parents, family, communities, cultures, socialism, they all have played a part in who I was. Not who I am today, but who I was. And the reason why I say not who I am today is because I had to gain the knowledge and wisdom. Who I asked from, God, who is the creator of the universe, who is the source of my life. I had been praying to God I want the truth. God, I want wisdom. I want the knowledge. This has been my prayer for years. And it wasn't until I was able to be still, like the Word of God tells me to do, to really recognize who I was. And to start saying these things to different people. I am who I am and not for what I do. I was saying it. I had to kill the ego, kill the pride. I am who I am. And it's time for me to start believing and understanding and living the life as if I know who I am. And who am I? I am a child of God. I am Maya. And I am really, truly about to live my best life. Because I see it in a different eye. I see and feel and know now, in the spiritual realm, who I am. And this book have helped me stay focused on the right track. Okay? And this is my personal experience with this book. So everyone else is going to be different. If you go on Google, you'll see a lot of critics talk about this book. And I'm saying, one of the things that they probably missed is not to take it seriously. Not seriously, not to take it personally. Not seriously, excuse me. Not to take it personally. Don't take things personal. And so they might have could have been reading the book as if he was, making them believe him, whatever. No. One of the things my grandfather instilled in me when I was a kid. And my grandfather, Southern Baptist preacher and missionary. He did global missions all over. He's been to China, Korea. He's been to different countries in Africa. And awesome man. Yeah, he very much so human. And I say that because by him being a pastor of a church for years, they somehow believed that their leader was going to always be 100% correct for how he lived his life. And one thing I knew about my grandfather, you could not make him waver of God. He knew God was all of that. And my grandfather, he never worked a job. He always worked for himself. When he was pastoring, and some of the deacons would be upset because he asked for a little raise. But the money from the church didn't completely provide for his family. My grandfather had his own cleaners, he's had his own group homes, he's had his own insurance company, he's had, he cut hair, he was a barber instructor, he had his own restaurant, he was a serial entrepreneur before it was a thing. And he still tithe and offering. But so I listened to him a lot when it came down to foundational pieces, right? And one of the quotes that he always told me, he said, Maya, always remember to know God for yourself. I'm getting a little teary-eyed because it always stuck with me. What do he mean to know God for myself? Somehow in my grandfather's mind, it was, he probably knew that as she's in a different era than when I was growing up. And, my granddad was called to preach at 12 years old. Where they do that at? Well, they did it, the Spirit did it in him. And he said, know God for yourself. And so when I picked up this book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, I saw God all in this book for me. So many scriptures was lining up as I was reading. But yet this book is not intended to recognize any certain religion. It's not intended to recognize any certain prophet like Jesus, like Buddha, and so forth and so on. This book simply embrace, recognize, and honor with respect of spirit. And so when I read this book, like for the fourth time, with my open mind and heart and soul, I was able to absorb, process, and here I am in the book study talking about this book. So, I hope I didn't bore anybody, and they already said ding dong, move on. That's one of the things that I like to remind people. When you are putting in the work, whether it's for self-help, spiritual growth, or anything like that, you gotta be patient. You have to be patient and kind and gentle to yourself. And so, in order for it to actually, so to speak, work on you. Okay? So, I'm going to pause here, and then we're going to actually step into this actual book study. The Toltec. This is the section before the introduction in this book. And first of all, I do want to go back to a very key point in that reference from the Bible. The Bible says that any man or she that be in Christ Jesus, he, she, is a new creature. All things are passed away, and behold, you are to become new. Okay. What that is ultimately saying is that I am a new creature. Being in a new creature, what you used to be, you have to let that go and to become something new. Once you make up the decision, and I'm not trying to make anybody make a decision to follow Christ, but once you make a decision that you want change in your life, you want to be new, you want to be fully committed to being yourself, you are a new creature. You become someone new. And in order to become you, you must and you have to allow all those old things be passed away. It has to go. Because if you're still going to hold on to what's old, it's very hard to become new. And that gives us the choice right there. That gives us the freedom to say, today, I choose me. Today, I'm going to open up my mind and my heart and really receive, comprehend, and process the words that are written in this book. This book is for personal freedom. Which we all know that we are spirits. We have spirits. Okay? Alright. So, we need to work on letting go of the environment that we once knew. And we might even have to step away or just down out, leave some of the people that sit in our circles. Because I can tell you this, once you start reading or have read these 4 agreements, you will start realizing that not everybody is going to resonate with you. Not everybody is going to be on the same energy, in the same energy that you're on. And it will step you back to, make you feel bad about you knowing something new. Because you knowing something new is molding you to become something new. Okay? And so a lot of people don't like that. So a lot of environments don't like it. So I encourage you to stay focused, to meditate, and open your mind to this. But the Toltec, let's get a background of who, what is this Toltec, okay? Because this is a wisdom book, okay? A wisdom book to personal freedom, a practical one at that, okay? And this book is so awesome. Not because I'm saying it. It just holds a lot of knowledge that can be very effective in your life. So, the Toltec. Excuse me. What is it? Is it a group of people? Is it a place? What is it? The Toltec wisdom book. Well, he writes in here that the Toltec is scientists and artists who formed a society to conserve the spiritual knowledge and the practices of the ones before, the ancient ones. Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. Here we are. Scientists and artists. Scientists and artists, what do they have in common? They are creators. Artists create all the time to express, whether they are writers, whether they're painters, seamstress, quilters, to break it down, I think about Harriet Tubman, one of the first coders. She actually put code to some fabric, made a quilt, so that people can understand without speaking. They can see the signs. This is where we need to go. Oh, nope, that's not the house we need to go to. She was a coder and an artist because she knew the truth. She had some knowledge. She knew the truth that there should be slaves, but we shouldn't be treated this way. This is not the way of life, to be living in fear. So she knew the truth, and she found strength somewhere and created the Underground Railroad quilt. She created a code. That's just one example. Okay? And, I can come up with that example because I'm a quilter myself. So, understand that. But, creators. Scientists, they have wisdom and they have knowledge. They have the IQ and things to be able to create something that would help us, right? For the good. Okay. They're creators. God is the creator of the universe, the source of our lives. You're going to see eventually that God, who created you, who is your source, is within you. Another book that we're going to do a book study on is called To Create. And you'll see how that all ties in if you'd like to read the book. But the Toltec is a group of people, of the combination of scientists and artists, who have the responsibility to conserve the spiritual knowledge and the practices of the ancient ones. Awesome! Okay, that's number one. Okay, so these people know the truth. Now, how do they get this? We'll see. They used to meet up, the book says that they met up at the pyramids outside of Mexico City, known as the Man Becomes God. We'll stop right there. Man becomes God, meeting up at the pyramids. Okay. Through all our histories of different cultures and things of nature, there's pyramids. Okay. There's mountains. That's kind of peaked up like a pyramid, right? In those pyramids is where knowledge and wisdom is. And they say, man become God. In the Bible, it clearly states, God said, if you want wisdom and knowledge, ask for it. I'll give it to you. But you can't doubt it. You can't doubt process. You can't doubt anything of it. Because when you doubt it, that means you're a wavering mind. Okay? That means you really, truly have not made up your mind that you can even obtain this wisdom and knowledge that I'm going to freely give you. Okay? So these group of people, the Toltec, the artisan, the scientists, met up at the pyramids, where outside of Mexico City, where man become God. This whole setup is very powerful. It's nothing to be played with. And so they recognize that, oh wow, this is some stuff. This is where it is. This is how we're going to live, how we need to be. Because if man becomes God, what does that truly mean? To have the wisdom and the knowledge, to be powerful beings. The Bible tells us again, God did never give us the spirit of fear. God gives us the spirit of power, love, and self-control. Now, God gives us the spirit of power. Wow! Imagine what we can do and what we can be, right? Let's continue. So, over the period of time, they were forced to conceal all this wisdom and knowledge. Forced to conceal it. Why? Because, the European conquest, coupled with a lot of other people, basically saying that the rampant misuse of this wisdom and knowledge, they needed to conceal it. So they made it necessary to shield the knowledge from those who are not prepared to use it. These people were powerful. You better believe it. The Toltec, very powerful. I understand why they felt the need to conceal it. Because, like they said, it was a rampant misuse of it. Okay? Because somewhere down the line, somebody got greedy. Somewhere down the line, somebody got greedy of the knowledge of what they could do and misused it to maybe even harm others, to maybe to manipulate others, or to manipulate themselves. And because of that, it just was not ready. Just was not ready to receive that type of knowledge because of the misuse. The misuse was there for personal gain. Personal gain in a prideful and egotistic type of way. Okay? Which is sad. But we all know, we all have our own minds, and we have our own brain. And because these people, the scientists and the artists, they were very, very smart. Very, very smart to conceal it. To conceal it. It's almost like the book, The Secret. It really all ties in. It really does. And you can understand why. And as we get through this book, you will realize that there is still a lot of groups, different groups of cultures and communities that you still will not get this. Because the systems are very strong. But they concealed it, and here we are today. They also knew that the prophecies said that it will return. It will return. This wisdom and knowledge will return to the teacher. And the teacher will be able to share this wisdom and knowledge for those who are ready. Which goes back to the beginning of this talk. The beginning of this talk, I said, I read this book 3 times. Read it 3 times. And it was like, oh, it's just another book. It's just another spiritual book. It's good. It's a good book. But it's just another, it all ties in, right? Now, it was the 4th time when I picked it up. And it wasn't prompted by anything, right? And when I picked it up this time, I was like, oh, wow. This got to be a part of the book club. This got to be a part of the, maybe not a book club, but the book study. Because I was really, truly ready to receive the wisdom and knowledge that's in this book. And I've been able to apply it in my life along with the Bible, right? You don't have to do it that way for yourself, because everybody's process is different. Everybody is different. So I'm not trying to put no type of belief on you to study the Bible. No, that's what I do. This here is about personal freedom. This is not about following anybody in particular or any type of religion in particular. And so our author, who's from the Eagle Knight lineage, was guided to share these teachings of the Toltec in this book. And I thank God for him today. I thank God for him, because so many times people are led to do things and they don't do it. And it's important that they do it, right? And so I'm glad that he was obedient and wrote this book so we can understand this wisdom and knowledge. Now, like I said before, and he writes it in this book. And he's not the only person who's writing in this book, but it's with Janet Mills as well. But it says it is not. This book is not, or these teachers are not honoring a certain religion. It actually it honors all spiritual masters and embraces spirit. So you can have happiness and love. Happiness and love. And then, we can have peace. Peace from within, really, truly. So that's the Toltec. We have the background of the Toltec. So that is the Toltec part of the book is right before the introduction. And that is to give you some background of what we're about to receive in the book. Right? So let's go to the introduction, the section of the introduction. Let's go to that. So the introduction is talks about the Smokey mirror. I love this story about the Smokey mirror because as this story is being written out, I'm thinking like, wow, that is me. It's like having an epiphany. Now, basically, it's talking about a man who was studying to become a medicine man, which a lot of people know the term of the shaman. But this man was becoming a medicine man, but he wasn't completely agreeing with everything he was learning. And in his heart, he felt like it was more to the story. It was just more to what he's been taught, right? What he has been learning. It's like it's just more to it, okay? And so it talks about how this man slept in a cave and he started dreaming. This part is so important to understand this story. And how he was dreaming the night of a new moon. Okay, so you can remember the key words here. The new moon. You remember I told you when we first opened up, any man that be in Christ, he is a new. Okay, so new moon. And he heard a voice, he heard his own voice say, I am made of light, I am made of stars. And then everything is made of light. And in the space between is an empty. Okay. So the book says that he knew that everything that exists is one living being, and the light is the messenger of life. The light is the messenger of life. Now, I'm going to let's put a bookmark there. And I want you to, if you have a Bible, or you can use your phone to look up Ephesians chapter 5, verse 8 and 9. It says, you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for the fruits of the light consist in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. Let's go back to the book. And he knew that everything that exists is one living being, And the light is the messenger of life, because it is alive and contains all information. Let's go back to that scripture one more time. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for the fruit of the light consists in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. Wow. So, going back to the book, he said, I am in between the stars, he thought. Between the stars and the light. Right? Life, without life, the tonal and the nagal cannot exist. Life is the force of the absolute, the supreme, the creator who creates everything. One of the things that I say all the time, God is the creator of the universe, who is the source of my life. So if you want to implement that in your life, you can say, God is the creator of the universe, who is the source of our lives. Life is the force of the absolute supreme, the creator who creates everything. The Bible also tells us that in the beginning there was light. In the beginning there was light. God says, I'm Alpha and Omega. I am the beginning and I am the end. So if he's Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, what's in between? Because you have a starting point, you got an ending point. What's in between? Hello? We are in between. That's why we can't go over God, we can't go under God. We go under God. There's just something crazy about that. We go over God. We do it a lot. A lot of people always do it a lot. You know what? I see a problem, whatever. I'm not even going to consult my source. Come on now. I'm not going to consult my source, but I'm going to go ahead and handle this situation. Okay? Because ultimately people really feel like they don't have time for God. But some people say, well, he's right on time. Did you have to force him to be right on time? No. But, so I believe that God said, you know what? Okay. Are you going to let me to do it? Are you good? You don't need me, do you? Okay. But let's not get too far gone in that. But just remember, life is the force of the absolute supreme, the creator who creates everything. And so, if the book says, not the Bible, this book says, everything in existence is a manifestation of the one living being we call God. Everything is God. Now, I'm going to pause that right there because I need to find the reference scripture to that Norville, I think his name is Norville Guard, but Norville, he had said that in one of his awakening books, he had mentioned that, the manifestation of God holds everything. He is the key that holds everything. Okay, so if our life's force is the supreme, the absolute supreme, the creator who creates everything, and everything is God, come on, pick it up. What does that mean? We are part of that light. We are perceiving that light. Okay? And so, going back to this man who was becoming a medicine man, in this book he says, he also saw that the matter is a mirror. Everything is a mirror that reflects light and creates images of that light. The world of illusion, the dream, is just like the smoke, which doesn't allow us to see what we really are. The real us is pure love, pure light. The real us is pure love and pure light. Okay? And so if that is so true, why are we living in a world that is full of the opposite? Because we no longer have put our focus and attention on the God, the creator of the universe, who is the source of our life. He is Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. And through, in between that, like this medicine guy who was studying to be a medicine guy, there's something more to this. It's got to be something more to this. And once we have that something more, we realize that we have power. Now, I urge you to use this power not for a personal gain, to triumph over people, not to use this power to have ego, to have pride, to have prejudice. No, that's not the way this power works. Because this type of power, this type of understanding, brings us back to the originality of ourselves, which is pure love and pure light. Okay, so with that understanding, so the thing of it was that he's saying that it is true what this is happening, and people around him were saying, well, if this is true, then you are reincarnated as God. And this guy said, yeah, it is true. I am God, but you are also God. We are all the same, you and I. We are images of light. We are God. And this book says that people still did not understand him. Okay? And if you believe in Jesus, that's what Jesus wanted us to know and to believe, the same thing that I can do. The same way I am living. I'm teaching you how to live, how you can go to the sea, pull out a net, bring out some fish, they have some, and open the fish up. It has coins in there so we could pay these tax collectors. Okay, so we could pay this debt. You know, that's some type of faith. You know, back in the day, I probably would have been one of those people like, what in the world is going on here? Because, you know, I probably would have been like Peter. Okay, you want me to walk on some water? Are you kidding me? Right? So another book that we probably will be adding to this list of the book studies is The Shack. The movie was done very, very, very well. And that was actually represented to me through one of my good friends who was there, who got placed in my life right on time. And looking back on it, it's like, wow, God knew exactly who and what I needed to get through this thing called life at the time of what I was going through at the time. But anyway, I probably would have been like Peter. I can't walk on the water. I mean, are you crazy, Jesus? Now, I believe that we're performing miracles, but walking on water, I'm going to sink all the way down to the ground. And that is proof of ye of little faith. You got the power to do it, to actually do it. You know, I think about the childhood movie of Peter Pan flying all over everywhere. It's like, what in the world? This is truly a fantasy. But then you think about the book, The Wrinkle in Time. It's like, no, this stuff is real. Yeah. And that author wrote a children's book, A Wrinkle in Time. Powerful. Very much so powerful. And it's so relevant today. But if you not understanding and can't comprehend it, or not even comprehend it, but process it. As people can comprehend and reading, but are you processing it? The Wrinkle in Time. Whew. If I was a kid that could have had the ability at that time to process it, wow. a whole 10 years of my life will not even be there because of the Wrinkle in Time. Okay? But getting back to this book, this guy is saying, yeah, you know, I'm God, you God, we're all the same, because we are the image of the light. We are the image of God. God created us in His image. So how we look and how we are, God created us that way. For whatever reason. You know, a lot of people say, well, how is that? Because there's a lot of people that are born with a lot of, you know, different things. You know, some people come with tumors, some people come with 3 fingers, and all that. Don't worry about that. Because even with all of those things, it may not look normal to you, he still can use that person, that image of himself. He's going to use it if we open our minds and go through the process. The light. Everyone is a mirror. And the problem with this mirror is that the book says that they couldn't see him as themselves because there was a wall, a fog, a smoke between the mirrors. And that wall of fog made by the interpretation of the images of light, the dream of humans. Okay? So that's where we get the smoky mirror. And he said, I am the smoky mirror because I'm looking at myself in all of you. But we don't recognize each other because of the smoke in between us. The smoke is the dream, and the mirror is you, the dreamer. I think her name is Tabitha Brown. I saw her speak on Instagram. And I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I did grab this. She said she had to look at herself in the mirror. She didn't want to look at herself in the mirror. She couldn't see herself in the mirror. Why? Because she didn't know that person. She didn't know who that person was. You know. And I resonated with her, and I think that's how she said it, but I resonated with her because I'm saying that was me so many times. That was one of my exes told me to cover up the mirrors. Because my ex didn't want to see self in the mirror. I'm thinking like, what in the world? You know. However, because of the environment and everything, I became that way as well. I wouldn't even see myself in the mirror. So yeah, I might have came out of the house thinking I was looking good, but I probably was not looking right. Or the opposite. Went to work every day with a smile on my face, satisfying my customers for the job I work for. Being a yes ma'am, no sir type of person. Masking, pretty much. I had a mask on. But deep down in my heart and soul, I knew this wasn't life. I knew this, me having to fake it until I make it is crazy. I shouldn't have to fake it. It's got to be something more to life because I've been faking it a long time. Yes, I'm making the money to pay the bills. Yes, things happen, blah, 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 blah. But it is something more to this than what it was. So, yes, the smoky mirror. The fog. I am the mirror. And everything else is the dream. I am the dreamer, and the dream is fogged up. And so, if you read, if you read a lot of poems and stuff like I do, you remember the poem by Langston Hughes, "The Dream Deferred." Langston Hughes wrote so many poems about the dreamer. He even wrote some poems that he was talking to himself the whole time. Talking about how this world is and how different things is and stuff like that. Langston Hughes was another author, a creator, an artist who knew that there's something else to more than living in life. And in his case, it was more if I could just get past being black. Now I love being black. He never said he didn't like being black. But if I could get past the hurdle, and that hurdle in front of me is racism. If I can get through that cloud, then yeah, ultimately I can dream and be that dreamer. Okay? So, the smoky mirror. And that's what the smoky mirror, the introduction, is all about. That fog, the smoke, is the dream. The mirror is the dreamer. Let's get some clarity so we can live the best lives. Now, with that clarity, Don Miguel Ruiz is telling us the 4 agreements, the practical guide to personal freedom, the Toltec wisdom book. Is going to give us some clarity so we can live our best lives. Through consistent practices, it can happen. It will happen. But you got to be consistent. You got to believe that I'm going to believe in myself for once. I'm not going to believe in all this other stuff. I'm going to believe in myself. But before I get there, let me open myself up to this process and receive this wisdom that's in this book. So, he explained to us about, in this introduction, the smoky mountain. The smoky mirror, not smoky mountain. The smoky mirror. And that is part of the introduction. Very, very good introduction. Very, very good setup to get us to the point where we need to be. This man knows how to deliver a story. Do you hear me? Deliver a book. Okay? So, thank you for listening to part 1 of the book study for this book, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the next recording, we will be in chapter 1. Finally, in chapter 1, finally going to get to a chapter. But it was very important that we started this particular book study from its beginning. Because sometimes you can just jump right into your chapters. And, the introduction is usually why, a personal why. But the way this author set this book up, it wasn't, we needed the background of the Toltec, and we needed the introduction of where we're about to go in the rest of this book. And so the next recording will be about the chapter 1. And chapter 1 is domestication and the dream of the planted. Now we understand what the dream is. Okay. And who is the dreamer? We are. So the next recording we will be talking about that chapter, and then we will get right into the 4 agreements. Now, until next time, be yourself, and love others. Toodaloo.